There's nothing like a comfortable place that you know where things are, and every time you come to it, it just feels good. I'm talking about Elliot's Loft. It's a spot where we get together and do the episodes of When Black Men Talk, and that's where we find ourselves this time around. I'm Mark Elliott, and we're getting ready to start another episode and segment of Common Ground. Common Ground is something that was started a little while ago. Basically, um, talk about relationships, the men and women side, how we're basically pulling apart in a sense, and how we should be kind of pulling together, and just speak on basic those terms. Not pointing fingers necessarily, but just kind of trying to improve realistically. At the end of the day, really trying to say some things that could be beneficial to improve, but at the same time, not shying away from some things that need to be said. 'Cause we don't do that here when Black Men Talk. That's not allowed here. We speak out and we speak provocatively. And I know someone else that speaks out and speaks provocative, and I want to bring her in at this present moment. Dr. Marcy Baptiste. I call her Lady Marcy for short. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you, darling?
I'm doing good. I'm doing mighty good. Appreciate you stopping by. Speaking of common ground, I thought about this for a moment, and I want to just kind of start this for a second. I start the episode off this way. It's a simple question, but I think the answer could be kind of heavy. What would be the objective of a relationship in general?
The objective of a relationship?
Yeah.
I think that it has many different options. And I think that's
Hmm.
going to change depending on the parties. I think that the beautiful thing about living life is that you get to decide. And so deciding what do you want, or what do you want out of a relationship? What do you want it to look like? What do you want and hope to glean from, you know, developing this partnership, this bond, this connection with another human? And um but do we really think about that stuff? I don't know. I know in my past relationships I didn't think about it. I just dove in like, oh, it feels good, let's do this. And then you get into it and it's like, yeah, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah. No, that's kind of like it. You think about it. You meet someone for the most part. You two feel like you're vibing. You have something in common. You realize, okay, you want to spend a lot of time together, but you don't think of an objective. You think,
Hmm.
okay, we're just going to, everything is going to kind of basically fall into place. It's just going to kind of rock steady for the most part. But we don't think of an objective when we kind of start out. We don't speak of it. It's like it's non-existent. And that's interesting because I want to kind of put something together and get your opinion on it. Because an objective of a relationship could be to foster a deep, meaningful connection with another person built on mutual respect, trust, and support. Both can experience growth, intimacy, and happiness while navigating life together. Now, to me, that sounds delicious. What do you think?
So stuck back on the word delicious. Whoa. Hold on, let me come back real quick. Um, delicious, dang. Okay. So I kind of feel like it sounds like a lot. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like a lot. But what I will say is that, at this stage of my life, I have now finally figured out what it is that I would hope to get out of my next relationship and what I feel like I can contribute to my next relationship. And so I don't know if it would be delicious or not though. I do think that the mutual respect and the fulfillment and those various components have to be there. I know for me, I want truly to have that person. People talk all the time like, oh, this is my person, but we don't even know what our person should be like because we don't know who we are. And so I do want that individual. I want that individual to be the person that I want to call when I'm having a great day and something amazing has happened. And I want that person to be the person that's my first call when I'm having a really hard day and I'm struggling. And I want that person to be the person that I can call when I'm feeling like I need some emotional support, and I want to be able to be vulnerable and transparent and not ever fear that, something I say will be taken out of context in such a way and that they're not going to speak on it, and that they'll, abandon the relationship, or, you know, start holding things in, or, I want, it's got to have great communication. It's just got to have great communication. Um, in my book, Help Wanted, I say dope, sex, substance, and sustainability. That's what I really want. And in order to get there, you need communication, clarity, and consistency. So if you ask me, what do I want? Those are the things that I want. And that's what I want to end up with.
Okay. There's one word in there that I want to pull out. I want to talk about it now, but I want you and I to do a show on this word. It's a simple word, and it's not. The word is simple, but the word has a lot of depth to it. Let me kind of go back and say that, and that word is intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to do a show based on that because a lot of times, to me, when people hear that word, they think of just the romantic, the blah 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 blah, whatever. Intimacy is much deeper than that. So
Yeah.
therefore, yeah, I want to spend some time and really kind of, dig into that. But going back to the objective, and I think, when I said delicious, it's interesting because when you kind of say to foster a deep, meaningful connection with another person, it sounds, but at the same time, that could be a little scary. It can be a little scary to think that, the connection you're going to have with someone else is going to be deep. It's just, not on the surface, real
Mm-hmm.
deep. And of course, mutual respect and trust and support, we toss them around like frisbees. There's like, add-ons. You just assume this is
Right.
going to basically happen. That's why I'll go back to basically the meaningful connection. Because for a meaningful connection, you must really have a foundation there. You two
Mm-hmm.
must really establish something for you two to basically have something to stand on to really grow. And if you're going to grow, you're going to experience that personal growth. Now, that's where I think a lot of times when we move, and I was saying earlier, we move into relationships without really, having an idea, I like her, she likes me, this feels good, not having an objective. And realistically, saying to the next person or saying to that person, once they make you feel a certain way, I love you, I love you, you love me. But what is it, really, when you think about it, that's beautiful. And we've all been taught to kind of say that and feel that, but there's no objective there. There is
Mm-hmm.
none. Other than this, I love you because, from time to time you make me feel good and I think about you when you're not around and now I want to see you again and I want to talk to you again. And that's all nice. But is that a deep, meaningful connection? Is that what that is? Or do we even know what a deep, meaningful connection is? And maybe
I think.
that should be the question. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I thought you were done.
No, please.
I think that the piece that we miss is the vulnerability. And vulnerability is peeling back all the layers, showing all the naked, ugly truths. And that's where your meaningful connection is found. You can find somebody that likes you, loves you, appreciates you, respects you, honors you, and is willing to care for your innermost thoughts, feelings, fears, all of that. Um, can I be transparent with my deepest fears and the dirty, ugly truths about my life experiences and not have to fear that you're going to weaponize them? Can I tell you my whole truth and nothing but the truth? And will you still be there? And I don't think for most of us, we have that much confidence in the partners that we're choosing to really get that deep and vulnerable and to be able to kind of just get naked spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. Um, we feel like, oh, we'll go to a certain point, But once we reach our comfort zone, the edge of our comfort zone, then we're going to retreat back because we don't really feel comfortable enough and confident enough in our partner to still be there. And I think that's where that meaningful connection comes from. And I think that's maybe where you find it to be delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yes. No, because you're right. I don't think we allow ourselves to get there. I think for the most part, we're defensive. We're carrying old wounds from the
Hmm.
past, and we're not totally opening up because we're afraid if we do, we're going to get hurt again. And hurt's a part of life. It realistically is. It's not something you're not going to experience. Just because you experienced in the past doesn't mean that it's never going to happen again. But we're so on guard to protect that from happening again. Till we don't even open up the possibility to have a deep, meaningful connection. And sometimes, even with that being said, sometimes we're not over what may have happened in the past. We're not basically done with it. We're still kind of hanging on. We're bringing little tidbits from the past into our current day relationship, which won't allow us to have a deep, meaningful connection. We're still kind of hanging on to what didn't work there, and this person may not do this. Whether we haven't really put the lid on that, we haven't closed that up, we haven't sealed that up, and said, you know what, that's done. Let me start something fresh and new, and really be honored to this and honor it. No, we're still carrying the baggage from yesterday. We're still carrying all that what we had, and we haven't healed from that. We think we are. We feel like we might be, but we're still judging what's going on currently, what might have been happening in the past. And if that's going on, how can you get to a deep, meaningful connection with anyone else? Because you're still basically connected and locked and handcuffed to what didn't go right before, your reaction to it.
So I think that for a number of us, we're still judging our past ourselves. And we haven't come to terms with our choices and mistakes that we've made and um, bad decisions that we've made. And so we're holding ourselves hostage. And so how can I get vulnerable and allow myself to be seen by you when I don't even want to see my ugly truths? And
Ooh.
so we gotta make friends with who we are before we can expect somebody else to be able to meet us in that space to build a deep meaningful connection. And then the other trick to that is, how do I find the partner that's equally healed? You know,
Hmm.
it's difficult because how do we, you're not, nobody wants to ask those really tough questions on what's your deepest, complex trauma. Nobody wants to ask that question on a date, but that's what we
Mm-hmm.
really know. I need to know what happened to you from age 0 to 6. What was your family dynamic like? How did your parents parent? How did your parents discipline? What was your opinion of what, you know what I mean? What happened there? What happened to you between the ages of 7 and 14? Because what happened in those years teaches you how to show up in the world, and how you show up in the world based on what you learned back then is how you're going to show up in this relationship if you're not healed. And so all of the mistakes that you've made, and all of the things that have happened, and a lot of times what you realize is that most people have trauma and have never dealt with it. They consider the fact that I'm not crying about it on the daily that I'm healed from it. Most people have compromised relationships with family members, and sometimes it's ex relationships and stuff like that, where we're carrying unforgiveness in our heart. Well, if I'm walking around with unforgiveness, how can I get naked? How can I get vulnerable? I can't. It's not possible. So we got to do the healing work in order to prepare us for the level of vulnerability that it's going to take to make that deep, meaningful connection and to really, truly be able to trust somebody on that level.
Absolutely. Let me ask this, because happiness while navigating life together, what does happiness look like? What does it feel like? What is happiness? Is it caring for someone else? Is it putting someone else in front of you and really thinking of them first? Is that happiness?
I don't think that you can put someone in front of you and be happy, but I do feel like if you want a successful relationship, you must consider the other person's feelings, perspective, desires, and then come to some sort of a decision. It may involve compromise. It may involve, typically, it's going to involve compromise, honestly. Uh, and then you kind of go from there. I think happiness starts with you. You know, if you're not happy single, you're not going to be happy in a relationship. Why are you not happy single? People are like, oh, it's these single streets. I'll tell you, the dating pool got doo doo in it.
Hmm.
It's not fun out here in them single streets. But I'm not unhappy because of that. You know what I mean? And you can also be happy and content in the life that you have and still desire to have uh, a life partner and a healthy relationship. So sometimes we think things are either or, and they're really both. So
Okay.
I think happiness looks like whatever you as a twosome decide it looks like. And for some people, that twosome's a threesome or a foursome. Plural marriage is a real thing. If you don't
Hmm.
understand the lifestyle and you're placing your, visions of matrimony and monogamy and all that onto it and superimposing that, then yeah, you can become judgmental of it. But if you talk to individuals who are in that lifestyle and believe in that lifestyle, they can give you a different perspective on some of the things that they find beneficial. Is it for everybody? No, but monogamy is not for everybody either. So we can't say that relationship looks any one specific way. So you have to look at the parties involved and say, is this what you as a unit wants, whatever that unit looks like?
I have a question that I'm gonna ask this, but I want to know if it's been asked to you before. Um, what are you afraid of in terms of relationships?
Whew, man, you really went there. I
Hmm.
think my biggest fear at this stage in my life is to make the same mistakes as I've made in my past. Um, and by saying that, what I mean is when you talked about putting somebody before you, my tendency to want to people please and please my partner, or to just kind of mold myself into what I feel like my partner needs and sacrifice who I really am and walk with that sort of mask on. I think that's my biggest fear, is that I'll fall back into that old habit pattern because I carried that with me for so long. And so now I recognize it and I know that it's there and I know that it exists. And I know that that's not going to be the thing that makes a relationship sustainable for me, because at the end of the day, I end up not happy. So I have to be very mindful of that. But I think that's my biggest fear, is because that's such a tendency for me, is to always put somebody else first and to not speak up when something doesn't work for me. And so I have to constantly, and this is even in my friendships, I have to be very, very intentional about how do I show up and make sure I'm not finding myself apologizing for things that I don't need to apologize for. Just because somebody doesn't, expects me to do something a different way than I've done it, doesn't mean that I have to apologize. I can be okay with saying, no, I did it because of this for me, without ever adding an I'm sorry on the front or the back side of it, and letting people get to know why I make the decisions that I make or why I think the way that I think. But my natural tendency is to want to apologize for those things and to make adjustments on my end to accommodate my partner. And that's my biggest fear, is that I'll continue to do that. And then it bites me in the butt later because I'm not being authentic.
Hmm. It's interesting because I'm not sure people really get asked that question or
I don't think
get
anybody's
asked.
ever asked me that.
Wow. I'll say I knew for me a fear that I carried was that I would give the best of me to someone and not get much back in return.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you feel like you would kind of give and they will probably receive more than they'd be willing to give back.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of keep that in the kind of the forefront and think about it. Because to me, there's a certain way that you love and that you give. And I would not want to be giving that and sharing that with someone that's not worthy of such. And they're not reciprocating. I don't think they should reciprocate. They just want to take and not basically to return. So that has been a fear over the years.
So how do
Um
you? I have a question for you. So how do you
yeah,
combat that? How do you combat that? How do
you
you choose up front? Because we talk about, or I talk about disqualifying and qualifying relationships, and that's even friendships. So how do you do that? How do you?
you be, you become a quick reader. You allow your discernment to really lead you and determine. You don't overanalyze, but you rely on your natural instincts. You don't get caught up in certain things that look glassy and shiny. No, you allow your heart to really tell you. Because your heart in reality will not fail you. A lot of times we think for our heart, but our heart should be thinking for us. And if you kind of really feel it, and even if you feel it and and I step into it and it doesn't really work, at least I believe I've done what I should have done. So I'll go back to, when I got married, years ago. Okay. My thing was, I chose to become a husband. So I'm going to apply myself to it the best of my ability at the current time. Now, if, me applying myself and doing it, it doesn't really kind of work out that fashion, I'm walking away with my head held high. I gave what I need to give. I did what I needed to do. If I didn't feel like I was to open up and be there, and if I had that fear that it wasn't going to be returned, I shouldn't have walked through that door. But once I believed that I should and it could, I made that. I made that step. Now, in some areas of the marriage, things weren't kind of returned. Therefore, I separated myself and I moved on. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't spend time bashing myself over it. I didn't. I learned from it. I moved on. But with that moving on, my discernment grew even stronger, my intuition, my feelings, my thoughts, and you kind of pay attention to some things that, you may have seen before that you might have overlooked. You don't overlook much anymore. You kind of really see things for what they are. Your eyes kind of open a little more sharper. So with that being said, the fear really became, I wouldn't say minuscule, but it decreased because you just don't, I'm a firm believer, you don't go around loving everybody. I could spend time with you. I don't have to be in love with you. I could adore you. I could treat you well, but I don't have to love you. But if I choose to love you, I have to feel, okay, it's going to be a two-way street. I'm not walking on the street by myself. And
Mm-hmm.
are you capable of loving me the way I need to be loved? And if I sense that you aren't, my love is not coming to you.
So do you communicate how you need to be loved?
Yes, there's no problem. There's no problem in communicating that. But not everybody can, you can hear that, and everybody may not be able to, bring that back.
Right.
Yeah. As you spoke of earlier, you can communicate that to someone. And I will say this, I can communicate to someone that may really want to, but they may have emotional things or traumas in their past that won't allow them to.
Mm-hmm.
I must see it for what it is and go, you know what? They can't. Doesn't make them a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to short myself to basically, give what I'm giving when realistically they can't. See it for what it is. Nothing to be angry about it. Read it for what it is. And then if that happens, I have no problem sharing. This is what I see. This is what I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing personal, but I can't, I wouldn't expect someone to give me the best of them if I can't give them the best of me.
I
So
feel
I'm
like
not
men
going
are
to,
better at that. I feel like men are better at that, saying like, "This is what I need," and take it or leave it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we might be because most men that love will love hard, and I'm one of those. But at the same time, when that love is not really being honored, you pull that love back. You don't
Hmm.
sit around. You don't sit around wait for your love to be honored. Some men do. Some men do. But most men will, that tend to love hard, and they're going to give themselves to you because if you value who you are, you value your love, you value what you offer, you realize it's not meant just to give to any and everybody. That person that receive it must be worthy of such. And I don't mean they have to walk on water or walk on glass, but they just can't show up and think, okay, the words are spoken, but nothing's felt.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So did I hear you say that you feel like you should just follow your heart? Because it's interesting to me because I wrote this personal what do you call it? Like a personal mission statement basically years ago, and it was to love with my head, lead with my heart, and leave a legacy that my daughters can be proud to say this is my mama and this is what she stood for or what she stands for. Um, so that was my personal mission statement. But when I think about what I think I heard you say, you're saying you should kind of let your heart lead. And I'm like, I don't know that I've ever trusted my heart. Like my heart done epically failed me many times where I'm like, okay, follow the heart and I leave my brain behind me somewhere. So can you kind of expand on that for me a little bit?
absolutely. Yeah, when I say that, meaning that I'm a firm believer that our heart thinks before our mind does. And I think we have it the other way around. We think and we send it to our heart. So my point is, if I'm involved with someone, my heart's going to connect with you long before my mind connects with you. So if my heart connects with you, initially there, I'm already placed to in my mind. I can be with you. Now, once you start to show me some things that's not registering with my heart will go in defense mode before my mind does. Now, I think with my mind, I think clearly, and I'm sure I'm thinking, don't get me wrong, but my heart opens up first. In other words, if I connect with someone on a basis where we meet and we start to vibe, my heart will reach out to that person before my mind does. The mind is going to think of course, the physical attraction, this and that, whatever the case may be. But my heart doesn't want any harm to come to that person. My heart wants the best for that person. My heart
Mm-hmm.
wants to do what's right for that person, take care, nurture, comfort that person. That's my heart. That's not my mind. My mind will always kind of basically, think of, what's kind of basically good for the most part. But your heart should be giving, should be loving, it should be warm. But at the same time, you have to care for your heart, meaning that your heart is what it is, but the heart should be the full driver. When I say that, meaning that it can't override if you know that you're in a situation where that's not worthy of your heart, you have to pull yourself out of it. Because if not, you're wasting what you have to offer, what you possess, and you're giving it to people that just don't deserve it. I've seen many relationships where, as you can see, it's one-sided. One person is really into it and they're trying to make the other person live up to it, and they don't have the capabilities to be what that person wants.
Right.
But they
Mm-hmm.
so desire to have someone to where they want. I've always been accused of being nonchalant in a way that's very true. But at the same
Same.
time, yeah, at the
Same.
same,
Yeah.
and people will tend to believe a nonchalant person is not loving and caring. No,
No.
a nonchalant person don't allow bullshit to affect them, and they can see it easily. So they're not taking you serious, and they're not showing you nothing serious.
Mm-hmm.
Because once they not show you nothing serious, they don't believe you're worthy to show you nothing serious. So a person that is nonchalant, when they confront you with who they are in their heart, they believe something about you. They feel something
Mm-hmm.
about you. So either you can identify that, excuse my language, or fuck it up. And if you're not ready to accept it and understand it, you will fuck it up. like you spoke of earlier, if you have certain traumas and things of that nature. So yeah, that's when I say lead with your heart. A lot of people, we lead with our thought process, the physical. We lead with, what's this, how much money they make, and all this other stuff that society is telling you. Really, it's not a heart of beans, because at the end of the day, that's not where your love is going to be. My love is not much money, how much money you make. It's not. That's not my
Mm-hmm.
love. I mean, no, really, are you going to treat, when my heart is to you, are you going to treat me tender? Can I trust on you to be there if I need you for something that I just can't handle at that moment? When I
Mm-hmm.
realize I can't, my heart's smart. It's going to pull back from you anyway.
Right.
I don't know if I answer your question, but that's where that is. So realistically, when I say I lead with my heart, that's what I'm speaking of. Do I
Okay.
have I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I think I heard you wrong the first time.
Hmm.
And so we're saying the same thing, because that was what mine was love with my head, lead with my heart, meaning for me it was allow my mind to not be dissuaded by emotion, and not to get the emotion convoluted with what's just because it feels good that it's necessarily good for me. So I think we actually probably are saying more align and than what I originally thought, because at first I was like, okay, but as I hear you speak about it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can dig that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all I know basically. Realistically, it's all I really know, and it's how I view love for the most part. I think the word itself is thrown out way too easily. I just
Hmm.
do. I think it's kind of something that, you feel good about somebody, and we kind of been taught that. We really have. But, if you love me, you never even have to tell me. I would feel it.
Right.
It's nice to hear. And if I love you, you're going to feel it. If I never even say it to you.
Hmm.
So I can get on the phone all day. I love you, love you, love you. And I don't love you. And I've said to people that said to me, you love me. No, you don't. You don't know me. I don't love
Hmm.
you because you don't know me. So I don't need that generic, word of love. It does nothing for me. It doesn't warm me. It does nothing for me. I know
Yeah.
when someone loves me.
Yeah. I always say you love the idea of me.
Yeah. I mean,
You love the
I'm
concept.
not impressed. Yeah. I'm not
Right.
impressed. Love should not be manipulative.
Hmm.
It should not be. It just shouldn't be. So if you're saying that you're trying to sometimes to embrace me that, feel a different way about you, no, my heart should feel that way about you,
Hmm.
not the words that you say. But we get caught up in beautiful love songs. Even I love them too, but we get caught up in that emotional this and that and blah blah blah. And it's like, to me,
Hmm.
love is simple. It's not really complicated. We make it complicated. We do.
Yes. Yes. 100%. I agree.
Yeah, we make it very complicated because we're selfish. We want to gain from love instead of to love love.
Hmm.
We want to gain from it. We're looking to gain. So that's when I said before, when you're paying attention to this and that and that, you're thinking, okay, that's a potential gain for the future. That's not love.
Hmm.
That's not has nothing to do with love. So, when someone hears that, you take it for what it is. You take it for exactly what it is. And speaking of love, this is something that I want to ask, because I wonder, can we even get to this part of love? I'm going to leave the name out for a second and speak to it for a second and see if we can kind of reach it. Given freely, without conditions or expectations of repayment, it should be the common denominator. The common denominator. But at times it seems like it's unimaginable, unattainable. And I'm speaking of unconditional love. So I guess there's love and there's unconditional. Maybe there's sacred love. I don't know. But to me, is that part of love unconditional? Is that something that we can obtain? True or false?
So I feel like, yes, you can have unconditional love, but I can also love you from a distance. I don't have to love you up close. So my love for you can be unconditional, but my tolerance for your bullshit is very limited and very conditional. Um, that's how I look at it. I used to say that all love is conditional. Uh, and what I realize is that you can love people that have hurt you. You can still love people that have betrayed you. You can still love people that do unlovable things. And I think about people who've committed heinous crimes, um, where you would look at those individuals and say that person's no longer lovable. But if you talk to their mother or their sister or their brother, those people still love those people. That's that unconditional love. So no matter what you do, I'm gonna love you, but it doesn't mean that I support how you behave or that I am in agreement with how you live your life. And so sometimes you can love people and still have to separate from them. So in that instance, I feel like that's what that unconditional love is. But I can love you and not ever talk to you again. I can love you and never let you touch me again. I can love you from a great distance and I can still appreciate the great things that I once saw in you. And I can still appreciate the things that I once appreciated in you. And I can still also see you for the negative aspects that tell me that you're no longer in my best interest, that you're not safe for me. And because you're no longer safe for me, I can't allow you to have contact to me. But it doesn't change the fact that I love you and I want the best for you, but you're just not for me and you can't have access to me anymore.
Hmm. I think men and women can pull that off a lot easier than men. We don't love you anymore. Ain't unconditional. Just we don't like Teddy Pendergrass said. I don't love you anymore. We just don't. Once we don't love you no more, it's no, well, I love you, or but I'm not going to be around you. Once we, don't love you, it's for the most part, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
But is that only an intimate and those type of relationships, or does that extend to familial relationships? Because family does some messed up stuff, and we still love them through it.
I
Or do you stop
think,
loving them? I don't know.
I think even with family, some men, I venture to say, we stop loving them.
So
We may.
if your kid commits a heinous crime, they murder, say they murder somebody, take out a whole family, whatever heinous means to you. They commit a heinous crime. Do you stop loving them?
If they commit a heinous crime, I love who they were. I don't love who they become. So
Is
my
it
point is, in
is it who
saying
they
that,
become or their action,
their
or
action
is
is
that
who they
one and
be.
the same?
Well, if they become a murderer, a mass murderer, I'm not going to be on television saying I love my boy. No, I'm just not. And I
Right.
see people there all the time. I'm not, and that's not to say I would hate him, but my heart is not going to love what he's done. I raised him to be a certain way. I love him
Hmm.
through all that period. But if he chooses to step out what was given to him, or even a child of mine, a daughter, I'm not sitting around while I love them and mm-mm. Now I'm not gonna say I hate them, but a part of me would be substantially hurt because I felt like and I'm not gonna feel like I know I've done the best I could, so these things wouldn't have happened. So if you choose to take a path to go different,
Hmm.
that I can't stand at a microphone and go, yeah, regardless what they did. No, I just can't.
Right.
And I remember, I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm not, you know, saying it's equal, but I remember when I was younger, my mother would say, if you got arrested, don't call me.
Hmm.
So I took it if I can't call, she don't love me if I get arrested. I mean, that's the way I took that. It's like, hey, I'm not. Well, she she don't mean don't call me, but she still love me. No, I mean it's like because if she still love me, I can call her.
Hmm.
So it's like I look at it almost like that in a sense. So when I look at it, when I say, and I'm not trying to speak for every man, but when it comes down to giving freely, we would like to give freely without conditions, without expectations, and we're not expecting repayment. But when we start to experience some things that play with those factors, we tend to shut down. Now, it doesn't go necessarily in a hate mode, but we tend to shut down. You're
Mhm.
not going to find most men saying, I'm away from her. No, she slept with my brother, but I still love her. She was this. I said, no, your actions will have an impact on the way we feel about you. And
Mhm.
it may not be love anymore. And I respect, people that can say, oh yeah, I still love him. That's beautiful. That's where you are. I admire that. But I wonder sometimes, is that more of a will or that's a true feeling? Because you want to love them, granted, but do you still feel that? And I don't know realistically, I would. Would I still care? Absolutely. Will I turn my back? Probably not.
Mhm.
But I don't know instantly if something was that done that heinous. I'd be like, yeah, I still love them. Okay. I mean, I love who the person was. I don't love
Mhm.
this. I don't love this current individual. I don't. And I respect, in my life, if I would have done something like that, that people around me that said they love me, if they would have said to me, "Hey, Mark, I just don't," I would understand it because I should always, for you to continue to love me, I should do things in a space to where your love continue to blossom and grow for me. Your love shouldn't have to be strained to love me. Out of respect of your love, I'm going to do those things for you to continue to love me. Just I'm
So
not going to
does
act. Hmm.
so does love grant access? In other words, if you no longer love them, they no longer have access to you. Do you automatically stop talking to them? I mean, for me,
No.
like
Hmm.
I can love you and not give you access. I can also give you access and not love you.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. Love doesn't necessarily will stop the access. I mean, if I'm not in love with someone, I'm not going to say I have to shut off access because I'm not. I don't feel that love for you anymore.
Mhm.
But I'm not have to. I'm not in that same place of love that I once was before. Now it all
Mhm.
depends what took place when access get turned off. I'll go with the example that you gave of a mass murderer. I mean, I'm not going to turn my back and act like you're no longer my child.
Mhm.
Excuse me, that I'm not going to do. I mean, I'll try my best to understand what brought you to the situation, but to act like the love that we once shared and everything is still built there. I'm not. That's not. I'm
Mhm.
going to do. Yeah, that I'm not going to find myself doing. And I could bring that
Right.
to a love relationship. I mean, realistically, I could tell
Mhm.
you, the woman that I married. Was I in love with her when I married? Do I loved her when I was married? But after we got divorced, I'm not running around telling her I love her. No, I don't. Because hell, if I loved her, I would. I mean, if I loved, her, I would have stayed with her. You're
Mhm.
not finding me sitting somewhere later sipping on some green tea. Oh yeah, we got divorced, but I love it. No, I don't. I don't. I loved her for a period of time, and
Does
nothing that
hurt
doesn't make
cancel
her.
love?
Not necessarily. No, hurt doesn't cancel love. Not at all. Hurt
Does
makes you
cheating does
angry.
cheating does cheating cancel love?
I don't think that does either. Cheating, hurt can make you not hurt. Cheating can make you move away from love.
Mhm.
But if you still truly love the person, you're gonna love them.
Mhm. I agree.
Yeah, you're still gonna love them. I mean, that's not gonna walk away. You may choose to walk away from the person because they hurt you,
Mhm.
but in reality, if you honestly was in love with them, no. I just when I speak of like the marriage part, it's like for me, I loved her when I was with her. I can't walk away from her. I can't get that marriage, dissolved, walk away and say I'm in love with her. I'm doing this service to the next woman I'm going to fall in love with.
Right.
I can't love them both. So, that has to be severed. Or if not, go back, which I wouldn't do. But you go back and you pick up that love, you pick up that love, pick up that torch and that flame, and guys have done it, but that's the thing. And that's what I've spoken to you about before. It's like when you move forward, you can't bring all that with you.
Right.
You have people that say, well, this person, I love them, I'm not in love with them. Bullshit. I'm sorry. I mean, in my opinion, that's bullshit. You want to feel a certain way because you spent time with that person and do all that, and you want to, have put quotes and make it feel good and sound good. Either you love them or you don't. It's like being pregnant. Either you're pregnant or you're not.
I thought I was, but then I wasn't.
Come on. We can play around with love all day, but at the end of the day, that's why it's so confusing. It
Right.
is. It's because you want to play around. Love is not meant to be played around with. It's
Hmm.
a beautiful thing that was given to us to experience and feel. We all handle it differently, but I that's just my approach and where I look at it. Yeah. Mm-mm.
So
I mhm.
in your description, you said given freely without conditions or expectations of repayment. So do you express that you love someone else without knowing or feeling that they love you as well? Do you put yourself out there like that? Do men put themselves out like that? I know women do.
Yeah, man. Of course, men do. Absolutely. But again, if we realize we're giving it and it's not going to a wholesome, good place, you close the door. You close the door because they're not worthy of your love. Women assume men don't put themselves in that place. But a lot of men that, in my opinion, that do that have dealt with the hurt they've had from the past. They understood it. They forgive themselves for it. They forgive the other person. They moved on. If the man is bitter, if the man is still hanging on to things in the past and he's trying to battle that and trying to be, of course he can't. He can't
Mm,
because he's still pulling the sled from us in the past. Therefore he hasn't severed that. He's still carrying that. And he's trying. He's never going to be able to. But if he comes to you where he's took the time, I remember my grandmother said to me, "Mark, never jump from one frying pan to another frying pan."
I
So if
wish
you
I
think
could
of,
have met your grandmother.
oh, trust
She
me,
has some doozies.
oh my goodness, man, imagine being said that to you at 14, 15 years, like, Grandma, what the you but it always need to be said to me
Yeah.
because in
Hmm.
reality, now here again, I'm going to use my marriage as a frying pan. That was a hot frying pan that I was in. So I'm gonna come
Hmm.
out of that frying pan. I'm cooked for the most part. I'm not gonna cool down. I'm not gonna regroup. I'm not gonna, heal. I'm not gonna do what's necessary. And I'm gonna flip over to another frying pan, keep cooking.
Hmm.
That's it. I'm not jumping from, bang, bang, bang. It's like, no. So when I do step into that next frying pan, I'm ready to go. Throw the flour on me, throw the cayenne pepper on me, give me some some stuff, and I'm ready to go. I'm refreshed. I'm there. And that's the thing. I mean, I've seen guys, man, they jump out of a marriage next month you know, they jump out and then they run in marriage. So you're not in love with her. You're in love with the
Hmm.
possibility of her. You're not in love with her.
Hmm.
And she thinks she's getting you fresh, but she's not. In reality, she doesn't care as long as she has you. And that's not how love's supposed to be.
Hmm.
Now, I didn't walk away and for me, I didn't walk away with a lot of to clear out when I walked away. I took my time, thought the process through. I understood what I was going to be facing, dealt with it. And so when I came away, there weren't scars, there weren't wounds. No,
Hmm.
you know, I smiled through the whole process, at court and everything else. It happens. Divorce happens.
Hmm.
It's not a bad
Right.
thing. The world's not over. It's not over. Life is not ending. It was kind of a rebirth. I
Right.
gave it a chance. I gave it an option. I really tried, and if it didn't work, what is there to be mad about? That's just time spent in my life. I'm still breathing. I'm
Hmm.
still healthy. I can move forward. I'm not hanging my head. I'm not going to be angry. What would it be about one? So I'm not bringing all that, what she did, what she didn't do, whatever. No, mm-mm. I gave what I gave. I was expected to. I felt it. I moved forward.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop asking questions and pretending like
No,
I'm the host now.
no, please. I don't mind it at all. I don't. But we all view, we view things differently. But I could say for myself, it's kept me at peace. I
Hmm.
love my peace of mind. And if I don't have that, I don't have much. And I work to maintain that. So even I say when I love with my heart, I lead with my heart, I still lead to have a peace of mind. I'm just not all over the place flapping my hands. Oh, my heart, my heart. It's I trust my heart. I do. I trust it. I really do. And that's something that, has been has served me well for years. Has served me well. So I have no problem, letting it take the lead. And again, I think sometimes when it comes down to love, and I'm not trying to be mean or whatever the case may be, but it's not like my heart's going to attach itself to a floozy. It's
I've heard you use the word floozy in 25 years. I can't with you today. Not a floozy.
a floozy. No, but I love your questions. I mean, I really
Oh
do. And
boy.
it's just, but that's what it comes down to. Being real with yourself and understanding who you are, what you're capable of, what you have. And, when you value what you have, you're selective who you share that with, who you give that to.
Hmm.
Yeah. Again, we can go to Starbucks. Don't mean I'm in love with
I don't know if you get me one of them cheese danishes though. I might be in love with you.
you. No, I gotta do the ice cake. I gotta do the ice cake. That lemon ice cake,
Mm,
man. Woo!
I'm
You know how
telling
many
you,
times I ride? Every time I ride by Starbucks, I want to go in, but I don't. I'm just telling you, I keep going. I just keep going.
telling
Oh,
you,
that cake is
just
something.
give me a snack and it's over.
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to, go back to where we kind of started before we kind of move out of this one, because the objective of a relationship, I mean, it can mean a lot of different things for different people. But I wonder how many times people really think about that. What's the objective for us being together? And I think if you ask some people, oh, to get married. We're learning each other to get married. Okay, I mean,
Hmm.
realistically, I'm not saying that's not a bad thing, but even when you get married, what's your objective? Really, what is it? Is it to have a
Hmm.
meaningful connection? Really? Is it to basically experience some good, to grow, happiness? No. I mean, marriage is okay. That's fine. I mean, let's face it, they do not give you a questionnaire when you go apply for a marriage license.
Hmm.
They don't ask about your character. They don't ask about your flaws. What you've done. They don't. You bring cash, you bring, whatever, they give it to you. So it's nothing special to get one. The specialness starts when you decide to become married. That's what makes it special to me, and what you do after it. So that's where the subjective of a relationship should come into view. That's where it should be. And I'm sure a lot of us are floating around like there's no objective. There's none. But
Hmm.
one day we just make it happen, and we'll have kids. There you go. Well, now it's the American way. Lady Marcy. Only America. I'm gonna put a lid on this one. I'll put a lid on this one, and we'll get together again and do another one real soon. I'll give you some last words if you have some before I kind of shut the door. Anything you want to say?
I'm just signing up for some deliciousness. That's all. And I ain't no floozy. Let
Oh,
me put that out there.
oh my goodness,
Oh, you are
ladies,
funny today.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving us an ear. We appreciate it. What platform that you listen on? I can't thank you enough. Really, I can't. I'm happy that this show has grown to be on many different platforms, many different cities in the United States, many different countries. And I'm not saying it's to brag. It's just it's a happiness and a joy that I carry because it's amazing to think that we say some things that people listen to. I can't say thank you enough. You know, God loves you and we love you too. Take care of yourself. We'll get together real soon.